Greetings everyone, this is Zarin18 and welcome back to another techie video, I suppose. Last time, as you guys might remember, I did my computer build. I actually did a computer build for someone else, so make sure you check that out. But today we're kind of taking a step back and doing something a little bit different. We are going to be looking at a website that I think quite a few of you may have heard of before or may not have. Depends on if you're someone like me and full of you really like tech, or you're not really much into tech, but you do want to get into tech. This is the website PCPartPicker. For those who don't know, this is basically a website where you build your PC and then you can put it up on the websites for inspiration. So if everyone wants to get ideas for different builds, you can put it up on here. And basically a good hub, if you know what I mean, to look for parts, get pricing, general pricing, and get, like, as I said before, inspiration from other people's builds. Now, for those who don't know, this is a website that's been around for a little bit now, so if you don't know about it, well, I'm telling you now, I just did. And this is kind of a tutorial, I think it's what it's going to be. It's basically, I'm just going to be showing you a tutorial, or giving you a tutorial on how to use this website. Now, just remember, I am going with the basics. I am not... Sorry about that. I'm not going to be worrying about any sort of, complicated things. The cool thing about this is that this is free, so you don't need to do any sort of, like, signing up to use the website at all. You don't have to, pay for money to actually use it either. It's completely free. You can use it to your advantage for PC building. So, there's a lot of things in this, but I'm just going to kind of go through the basics. So as you guys can see, this is a lot different from your typical website. Usually you would have something like a banner or something like that saying, this is our website kind of a thing. But it just says PCPartPicker, and then immediately goes into stuff. So I'll kind of give you a walkthrough. We'll go through these real quick because that is important a little bit, but these 4 tabs are the most important of all of these. So the first thing that I would recommend you looking at is the area or region. This is extremely important because a lot of products are going to have different levels of availability or pricing in different countries depending on where you live. So if you live, I don't know, the Philippines, you'll have a different price as opposed to if you lived in, like, Turkey or Sweden or Italy. It all depends. So I'm going to select United States. And then that's already one out. There are a few others. So you've got login and register. So these 2 are important for doing the, like, builds, so you can show off your builds. You need to log in order to do it if you already have an account, or if you don't, you have to actually register for it. Now, they say, according to the email I got, because I tried this before, you get, like, it's a 30-day, the code works for 30 days. I don't know if that's the case. I've never actually used it yet, so I'm not currently in yet. But I have gotten that email before, so you might have to wait for a little while, but you should be getting the email relatively soon, I would think. So then there's 4 other things here. So you've got price drops. So this is basically all the different pricing drops over the past. So it actually shows you the different category of components in alphabetical order. So cases, case fans, CPUs, means central processing unit for those who want to be specific, or just processor. Those coolers, external storage, headphones, keyboards, all the way down to wireless network adapters. So this is actually set into 2 different sections. So you can do the last 24 hours, so literally the last day, or the last 7 days. Now, it's going to have the same, it's going to stay in alphabetical order, and these are clickable, so you can just click it, and bam, you go there. Now, personally, this is really good if you want to get, information on what parts you want to look for specifically, and it goes really well with a lot of different things. So, for example, you've got the item itself. So these are all different cases that have had a promo. Then you've got, or not quite the promo, all the cases. For example, you've got the previous price within the past 24 hours. You've got the current price, so what it is right now. Where you can buy it. So this is actually really good. So if you want to, get it from like Newegg or Walmart or Best Buy, you can go to these locations. There's a how much you save or drop if you really like those percentages. I'm personally not the biggest fan of it, but who cares? And then there's a promo. So in case you've got some sort of promo on there, see, on Case Fans there is a promo with different promo codes and so forth. Now, it will vary from product to product, and it does change over time, I'm pretty sure, but it's because it's never static. But it does kind of fluctuate. So this is a really good area if you're wanting to get, daily price drops or within the past 7 days, so you get an idea of what's, dropping in price. So let's click on this. This goes back to the home page. I say home page. It's not really much of a home page, but, it is what it is. Then we've got price trends. So this is basically, instead of price drops, where it just shows you, how much has something dropped, it shows you, like, how much the pricing has changed over time. So let's just look at a good example. Let's look at storage. So there's a bunch of different ones. So these are all for different capacities, different form factors, different different kinds of drives, hard drives or SSDs, what kind of SSDs, what the capacity is, and then this is over in US dollars. You can change it, so I think if you do UK, it will go to pounds or something like that. I don't exactly remember, but it's going to change in price. As you guys can see, it kind of shows this relatively, okay, it has fluctuated over time, but the relatively flat line prices that has been, and then in some areas, it's got these, like, really big spikes. For example, right here, it is all over the place. And then, like, right here, it dips really low. And then over here, it dips, like, completely down for a good month or so. Then it comes back up, and then it just goes back down again. So that's a good example of something that kind of fluctuates over time depending on what it is. So, for example, if you've got, if you want to know how much does a 2.5-inch 1 terabyte drive cost, what's the trends for that? So you go to the 2.5-inch SATA 1 terabyte, or you can just click on one of these and it goes straight there. So in this one, it stayed relatively the same. It has increased a little bit, but it's mostly within a $150 to $200 range. So, well, $150-ish range. Now, this area did get close to 170 to about 200-ish. But the pricing trend has stayed relatively the same. It's increased right here for a little bit, but then it came back down. So that's really nice in case you want to know, like, what has the price trends been for the past while, and will it get any bigger? Will the prices go up? Will the price trends go up, or will it stay relatively the same, or will it go lower? So that is a good thing. Also, this is over in the last 18 months, and it's average price. So if you want very specific prices, you actually have to look at that on your own, and it's within the last 18 months. So about 1.5 years. So this goes right now. I'm recording this on the 2nd of February, 2021. So it goes all the way back to, I believe this is like August 2019. So quite a while. So you get an idea of how much things cost within, from all the way back here from like August, for example, all the way to now. So that's price trends. Then you've got forums, and then you've got their blog page. So, you need those in case you need to have like a community, because this does have a community. It's not just a website where you have your merchandise, or it's not just a website where you find different products or anything like that. No, it actually is more of a PC community. It's kind of like PC Master Race, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like a community of PC people. This is kind of what that is as well. So let's go back to here. Now it's time for the 4 big tabs. Now, this one is the most important one, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So, we're going to browse products. And this actually shows you a whole bunch of different parts. I believe this is about everything, I want to say this is about everything. So you guys might notice that there are 8 big, like, boxes with a different image in them. But then these small ones, they're not very big. That's probably because they're not going to fit all of these in here. These are the 8 most important components of a system at any given time. So, for example, the processor. You need the processor. Motherboard. You need the motherboard. CPU cooler. You need the CPU cooler. These are all the things you do need. These are ones that you could just come up with afterwards. So, it's separated into cooling, drives, expansion, displays, external storage, peripherals, software, and other, which currently the only other thing in the other tab are laptops. So, each of these is going to bring you to actually the system builder tab for each of these. So let's just say I want to get a different motherboard. So I press this, and I immediately, okay. So I've already got something in here, but that's not important right now. So this is showing 14 compatible products with what I already have. I already have a PC build in here, but what this does have is basically all the different motherboards that are compatible on this platform. As you guys can see, there are quite a few different things you can select for here. Now, there are a lot more than just these, but this is just because I already have a platform in here, and it's already kind of narrowed down. So, usually be over 3,000 motherboards, and a lot of them are either duplicates or they're found on different sites and so forth. So you've got different pricing options, like include mail and rebates, use Amazon Smile links. I have never used any of these, but the filters is what's important. So you've got the price. So this slider will adjust according to what price you set at. So currently it goes from 0 to the maximum price on this platform, or maximum in total, which is $2,409. That's actually pretty expensive for a motherboard. Then again, a lot of these motherboards are kind of overpriced, but who am I to judge? Then you've got the manufacturer, which you can then press show more. It shows all the different ones on the actual thing, but the ones in black text, are the ones that are actually compatible on the platform you already have. The other ones are grayed out. That means they are not compatible, or they don't have a motherboard that's actually supported on said platform yet. And then, you can base it off from there. You have this little blue show less, show more thing. That's how you're able to see more of these. So pretty nice. You've got rating, so it goes all the way from all to unrated. So if it doesn't have a rating just yet, it's going to be unrated. Or if it's like a 3-star product, it will be on, right here under rating. You've got the socket or CPU chipset. No, this isn't chipset. This is socket. Sorry. So it goes all the way from all the way down to integrated Xeon D1541. I'm pretty sure that's 1541. Sorry. But right now, the only one that's actually supported on the platform that I've selected is STRX4, which we'll get to that another time. So there's a bunch of different sockets. A lot of them are ones that are not, or almost all of them are not compatible with it. Literally all except that one. So If you need to find a socket, you've got the socket. Form factor. So you've got a bunch of different form factors to look at. So this is going to determine what kind of case you're going to need for your motherboard. So for example, you've got ATX, you've got EATX. EATX is basically expanded ATX, extended ATX, I think. XL ATX, extra large ATX, and then you've got all of these Flex ATX, HPTX, Micro ATX, Mini ATX, all those. You've got the chipset. So these are all the different chipsets that are supported, which is actually a lot more than the socket. That's actually because there are more chipsets per socket than the other way around. So there are a lot of different chipsets, but the only one, as I said before, that's supported is TRX 40, because that's the platform I put in. It goes all the way from all to VIA PM4890. That, I have no idea what that is, so if you're someone like who needs to know that, well, there it is. You've got the maximum supported memory, so that's how much RAM you can put into it before it can no longer support it. So it goes all the way from 2 gigs all the way up to 2,000 gigabytes, which, if I remember correctly, if I do my conversions correctly, 2,000 gigabytes is equivalent to, I believe, 2 terabytes of RAM, which is very high, especially for any sort of platform. You've got different types of memory, so it only goes to DDR2 as the oldest, so any other any other older ones you're going to have to look up somewhere else. So it only goes back to DDR2, but it goes all the way up to DDR4 right now. You've got the amount of memory slots, so this is the number of slots on the actual board itself. You've got color, so if you want to have a specific color, you can find it within that. You've got SLI Crossfire, which is multi-GPU support, I suppose. So you've got Crossfire capable, meaning it's capable of supporting cards that have Crossfire. Two-way SLI, meaning you can do 2 cards that are SLI'd together. 3-way just basically means 3 cards, and 4-way means 4 cards. Then it goes all the way into these different PCI slots, PCIe, PCI, SATA Express, M.2, mSATA, Ethernet, video, USB, ECC RAM. So if you're going to be building a server, you're going to need ECC RAM. And, of course, wireless networking, if you really want to use things like Wi-Fi 6. And all of those are actually put on here. So you've got the socket, you've got the form factor, which it does change. So these, I believe, go in ascending and descending order. So the arrows indicate which way. So this is ascending, and then this one's descending. And then this one's descending. This is ascending, descending, ascending, descending. Get the idea? Maximum amount of memory supported, the amount of memory slots, the color, the rating for said board, and then the price. Now, the ones that don't have a price, that means that there's no price that has been determined on any of the supported sites that this website uses. So that is a thing, but you can probably find it somewhere else, just not one that's supported on this site. So, and then you've got these other ones, which is basically you can select all of these, which you can just select all, select none. Basically just selects different ones. And it says add from selection, so if you need multiple things, you can just, select 2 things and then put them in. And then you can do compare selected, which, that's actually with these check boxes. So you press these, press 2 of them, at least 2, do compare selected, and it compares the different specifications for them. So let's say you want to get like a Zenith 2 Extreme, but you also really like the Designator. I hope I pronounced that right. It's either Designer or Designator. You can then do compare selected, and that's going to compare the 2. So, and it gives you all the information you're going to need. So, basically, with that in mind, it gives you all the ideal information you're going to need for different products. Let's go back to here, home base. Let's go to build guides, because this one gets a little bit more complicated. So build guides, this is basically where you're going to find all of your systems for, I don't know, things such as desktop gaming, streaming, desktop gaming. It's only in those categories right now, so kind of unfortunate, but you know no one's keeping track. So, let's say you want to build a enthusiast tier AMD gaming streaming build. So, let's do this one. And this actually will give you the different components. So, this is kind of a thing for different parts if you want to get, different parts for your system. So, for example, you want to get like a certain motherboard or a certain processor. These different build guides are going to give you builds at a certain price point. It talks about the description for like the CPU, the motherboard, the memory, the graphics card, the case, the power supply, or PSU. And then there is an Intel version of this, so if you don't want to go AMD, you want to do Intel, you could do Intel about that. Then there's please visit AMD's webpage about this, because there's a compatibility warning. So this is going to come up on certain builds, but most of the time you should be good. So here's the parts list that they have. So you can customize this parts list. We're going to get to that in a minute, or a little bit actually. And it shows you all the different parts with all their base prices, promos if they have it, shipping, taxes and on this, and then their actual retail price, where to find them, and if you can actually buy them. So you can buy all of these off of Amazon for a total of $1,509.68, not counting taxes or shipping. Wait, this is counting shipping. Okay, fair enough. So that is a thing. And then as it says, warning, some AMD B550 chipsets may need a BIOS update prior to using Vermeer CPUs. Upgrading the BIOS may require a different CPU that is supported by older BIOS revisions. That's going to come up in a lot of systems. As long as it's just a BIOS thing, you don't need to worry about it. Sometimes you might need to worry about it, but in this case, you're not. And then it says, note, the Arctic Freezer 34 Esports Duo CPU cooler may require a separately available mounting adapter to fit the MSI B550A Pro ATX AM4 motherboard. So that's basically just as a note in case you actually don't have like a mounting thing, or if the mounting thing doesn't work on this board. But as you guys might see, it's just the PC. It's not including any sort of, monitors and stuff like that. That's because it's not actually part of the PC. This is just part of the PC, not the setup. Then you can comment on these and sort the comments accordingly. So that's basically how this one would go. This is supposed to be in case you need to get any sort of ideas of what kind of parts you need, and so on and so forth. And then I realize that if you hover over these, their icon shrinks. Click them. You can actually get to their image, and it actually shows you different pictures of it, which actually shows you the different actual components closer up. So this is the CPU cooler, this is the motherboard, this is the RAM, this is the storage, this is the graphics card. You see how this is? And then, of course, you can go to the link in case you want to actually modify it accordingly instead of having to press to customize this parts list. So let's go back to our hub. Now let's go into completed builds. Now this is basically where the community part of it comes into play. So this is where all the community submitted builds. So these are all the different builds that if you're signed up, you can submit it, like different images of it, or different like different builds and different setups along with said builds. So you have a bunch of different ones, like for example this 9900K RTX 3080 Paracosm, I forget, by a person named Lantern Sky. So if we click on this, and then it gives you it gives you everything you need. Like, for example, the description, which they should have a decent description on it. It's not exact that they're going to give you a good description, but they do have a parts list, so you have an idea of what you're looking for. So, CPU cooler, storage, case, this. So that's kind of nice. And then, of course, that's decent. And then there's comments, which means you could comment on the different systems, depending on if you like them or not. And then, of course, this person in particular sent a link to another PC build, which you could look at that yourself, because personally, I don't want to go really overboard with this, but this should be good. So that's kind of the premise behind these, and then you are supposed to submit pictures of your system, so this is kind of his setup. Now, I'm not going to be judging these, but oh yeah, I could use my arrow keys. So it shows the different angles, different views of the actual system, different, components he used. So that's kind of the idea behind this. And, wrong one. There are a lot. How many are there? There are 4,367 pages worth, which is a lot. And it is a lot, but if you're going to need to really look, you're not going to be looking through all these pages, especially if they're this size. And then you can sort them by newest, oldest, highest rated, and highest price. The highest price one is $69,649. You've got all these published ones, so past day, past week, past month, past year. Featured builds, build type, CPU, is the CPU overclocked in any way, shape, or form, CPU socket, cooler, video card, SLI, crossfire, case, and case type. So, basic information for your average system. Now, we go back to our hub. Now it's time for the fun part, the system builder. So this is basically like the crown of this. Like, this is what really emphasizes this is PCPartPicker. You choose parts in System Builder. So let's click on this. And let me actually start new, because that was a pre-existing thing. Oh, okay. So you might notice that there are quite a few of these things here. These are just different markups. And then you've got estimated wattage, which wattages are estimates. Only actual power draw may differ from listed values. So basically, this is just how much power your entire thing is consuming within the system itself, not outside. Not outside requires its own power. So then you've got history, which then has all the things that you've put on this. I'm pretty sure this is all of it. I want to say, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure this is all the different parts added or removed. So, there are quite a few of these. There's CPU cooler, motherboard, memory, storage, video card, case, power supply, optical drive, operating system, software, monitor, external storage, laptop, and then all of these other ones. These you can also select, and they will go to them, but they're kind of grouped together, because otherwise the page would be a lot longer. And you've got these little blue boxes for easy to use, easy to go to. So let's say I want to press CPU. Bam! Go to CPU. Let's say I want to go to CPU cooler. Bam! Press CPU cooler. You get there. Let's say I want to go to memory. Bam! So all these different things show you, or are easy to get to in any way, shape, or form. Now, let me just build a quick system out of this. So, Ryzen 5 3600. So, it's a Ryzen 5 3600, 3.6 gigahertz, 6-core processor. They put this with every single processor. I kid you not. You've got base price. You've got promo, in case you want to use that promo, which is a promo code. You've got free shipping. Tax isn't listed on this at all. You've got the price, it now with the promo included, and then where to find it. And then, let's say you want to get another motherboard. So let's just go with the Asus TUF X570 Plus. This is just for demonstration purposes. I'm not saying you have to actually get these parts or anything. This is just for demonstration. So as you can see, the processor and the motherboard have no compatibility issues, and there's no CPU cooler thing. So you might be wondering, well, does the CPU come with one? Yes, it does. This one in particular. Now, suppose we wanted to swap this out with 5600X. So, oh, warning, these parts have potential issues or incompatibilities. See details below. So you can either scroll down or just click it. And warning. Oh, okay. So this one just goes with the most important concern. So if this wasn't a problem, so let's say I swapped the CPU because that's not a very good choice. And let's suppose I go with let's just find something that doesn't have a CPU cooler, 3950X. So now it has another warning. This time it's AMD Ryzen 9 3950X, 3.5 GHz, 16-core processor, does not include a stock CPU cooler. Adding a CPU cooler to your part list is recommended. So then you have to add a CPU cooler for a processor that doesn't have a CPU cooler, or you might have to get a different processor if it's not supported on the chipset. Now, last time, the 5600X is compatible on this motherboard, so that's the thing. So let's swap back to that 3600 to not have to add a CPU cooler. Let's just do a quick thing of memory. This should be good. So Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro 32 gig, which is 32 gigabyte kit, and then it shows you how many gigs per DIMM, and then how many DIMMs there are. So 2 times 16 is 32, in fact. DDR4 3200 C16 memory. So that's a pretty good kit in of itself, even though it is a little hefty in price. Storage. There we go. And the 970 EVO 500 gig M.2 2280 NVMe at solid state drive. So currently available for $70, which is actually a really good price for this kind of drive. This is usually like $80 or something like that, or a little bit more expensive. Now, graphics cards is going to be a little bit trickier, given that everything is so jacked up in price. So, we're just going to go with an RTX 3070, or it's 3060 Ti, to make it more balanced. We had a case. We're going to go with Corsair 4000D Airflow to fit with the memory. And then we just select a power supply. So, we're just going to go with a 750 watt power supply. Should be good. So in total, I have a 374 watt power draw within this system, and that's not counting the power supply, because the power supply doesn't require any power of its own. It's very little, if any. So, or at least I think it would be, but it has its own power selection. This is with everything else. So base total is $1,809.94. With the $5 discount, you're saving $5 out of basically $1,810. So now you're having $1,804.94. Still ridiculously expensive for any normal person, but should be good. So there's that. This is just a quick system. Oh, and this will come up every once in a while. See notes. So Corsair 4000D Airflow ATX mid-tower case has a front panel USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port, but the Asus TUF Gaming X570 Plus Wi-Fi ATX AM4 motherboard does not have sufficient USB 3.2 Gen 2 or Gen 1 headers. The case USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port will not be usable. That does come up every once in a while. Just kind of push it off to the side. I mean, yes, get a different motherboard if you can that actually supports it, but most of the time you should be fine with that. So that's basically about it. So I will have the link to PCPartPicker linked in the description below, and I'm going to have some of my own PC builds also linked in the description below. So if you want to build your own system, go right ahead. If you want to base your ideas off of systems that I've built or actually put together on PCPartPicker, or you want to modify them accordingly, you can do that as well. But I think that should be it. So also, this is just something that I would really like to say. this is, as I said before, this is not something that requires money or requires sign up. I mean, yes, you do need to sign up to use some of the features in it, but most of the time you should be good. Now, do not think that this is going to be every single location. For example, where it doesn't give you all the locations. Places like AliExpress, if you like to use it, Wish.com, eBay, those places are not going to give you the price. Typical places like Newegg, B&H Photo, the place where you can get it, it's like its own place. Amazon, Best Buy, Newegg, or I already said Newegg. I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Andorama or something like that. All those are things that you can find in the Where section. eBay, AliExpress, Wish, those are not going to be listed at all. But other than that, I think that should be about it. So as I said before, I'm going to have, not only going to have PCPartPicker linked in the description below, excuse me, but I'm also going to have some of my own builds linked in the description below, so you can get inspiration, so you can modify them accordingly, or you can just use PCPartPicker for yourself. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely hope you leave a like. I do appreciate it. It will really help out my channel. And hopefully we get some more techie stuff happening in the future. Like, for example, getting a new keyboard, which I have a new keyboard. So, yeah, that should be fun. So, otherwise, my friends, thank you so much for watching, and I'll definitely see you next time. And for all who want to use this, happy PC building.